At the age of 24, Jenny Wanda Barkmann, a young woman from Hamburg, was led to a huge set of gallows in front of a crowd of around 200,000 people. On the huge hill in Gdansk, the concentration camp guards who worked inside of the Stutthof camp nearby were brought following being condemned to death. Alongside Jenny were a number of other women who had been ordered to have been executed, and she would go down in history as one of the most brutal female guards who worked inside of the concentration camps during the Second World War. She was just a young woman when she committed many of her crimes, and she had big dreams during the deadliest conflict in human history, but this 24-year-old would be led down a very dark path of execution, depravity and evil. Join us today as we look at the execution of Jenny Wanda Barkmann, and remember to support our channel. Please make sure to subscribe. Born on the 30th of May 1922, Jenny Wanda Barkmann was born in Hamburg, and she had a rather modest upbringing. She was raised by her father, who was a dock worker, and the family did not always have too much money, as her mother was a housewife. As a child, Jenny was a normal girl, and she dreamt of becoming an actress. Following her schooling, she tried to become a fashion model, and Jenny was noted for her good looks and appearance, but the outbreak of the Second World War did not change her plans, and she continued to be involved in photo shoots for German magazines and also in different advertising agencies. But then at some point at the start of 1944, something changed in the life of Jenny Wanda Barkmann. Suddenly she quit her modelling career, and then she appealed to an advertisement which was issued by the German SS, and they said they needed women to work inside of the concentration camps. Many women were recruited to work inside of the evil sites, and some went for money, and some wanted a complete change in their life. At the time, Jenny Wanda Barkmann was just around 21, and she probably wanted the money, and also the idea of career advancement, or she may have been obsessed with the idea of wielding power over others. She was interviewed for the job, and she passed this interview, and then she trained to become an overseer or an Aufseherin inside of a concentration camp. She was then transferred to the Stutthof Concentration Camp, which was known for being a very brutal site. At Stutthof in Gdansk, there were 110,000 inmates who were held within the barbed wire fences, and 65,000 people would never make it out alive. The camp was staffed by SS guards and also Ukrainian auxiliaries, and the first female guards at Stutthof were brought in during 1942, and a total of 295 women would work there. Stutthof had a huge number of prisoners come from different countries, and the conditions there were very harsh. Thousands of prisoners died from starvation and disease, and lots died from typhus epidemics that swept through the camp in winter 1942 and also 1944, and many inmates were too sick to work, and they were then sent to the camp's small gas chamber. Executions were carried out on a daily basis, with prisoners being shot on the firing range and also being sent to the gas chambers. Others were executed on gallows during roll call to strike fear into the hearts of the inmates. Others were injected with phenol, and the prisoners sometimes were beaten to death by the guards, and some even drowned in the mud. Many prisoners were rented out by other companies for slave labour, and Stutthof became infamous for its evil. Jenny Barkmann, as soon as she arrived, showed her evil and brutal side, and she had a talent for cruelty and sadism. She was known for beating inmates almost to death and then sending them to the gas chambers. She would torture prisoners in different ways, and some of these actions even shocked the other guards. People believed that she was fragile and intelligent when she was still a very young woman, but she then became known as Mad Jenny and also the Beautiful Spectre. It's believed that she had dozens of victims, and she would also take part in selections where they were taken to the gas chambers on a daily basis. It's believed she was responsible for the deaths of many, and she killed with her own hands through violent beatings. She also sent many children as well as women to their deaths, but as the Second World War was coming to an end, Mad Jenny sought to try and escape justice. As the Soviet Red Army were on the horizon, she ran off, and Jenny Barkmann became one of the most hunted war criminals before the war had come to an end. She managed to evade capture for a while, before in May 1945, She was arrested as she was boarding a train in Gdansk to leave. She had been helped while she was hiding for some time, but the image of Jenny Barkmann had been kept in the records of the camp, and prisoners remembered her well, and the description of Jenny was sent all over Europe to try and find her. But following her interrogation, she said she had always treated the prisoners of Stutthof well, and that she had never killed or ill-treated the inmates. She also said that she helped some who were suffering and were starving, and also that some had been saved from death by her. But the descriptions of her antics and what she was saying did not add up, and one prison guard was even fooled by her lies. This man began to sympathise with her, and she begged this guard to let her out of her prison cell for a few hours. But when the guard saw the inmates and her victims, he did not let her out ever again. Jenny Wanda Barkmann was brought to the Stutthof trials, and at trial dozens of prisoners from the camp testified against her. Documents were also brought forward showing and portraying her evil, and her lawyer tried to make a case that she was insane and was not fit enough to stand trial. He claimed that she did not have the capacity to make sound decisions and that she was insane. However, she did not come across crazy at all. Jenny spent most of her time at the trial flirting with guards and bothering more about her hair than the evils that she had committed whilst at the camp when she worked there. She would laugh in the face of witnesses, but for her crimes she was sentenced to death. When this was announced, she did not cry, and she listened to it calmly. However, the final words of her court case were, "Life is really a great pleasure, and pleasure, as a rule, does not last long." On the 4th of July 1946, early in the morning, Jenny Wanda Barkmann, along with the 10 other convicted war criminals, were taken to a site of execution on the Biskupia Gorka Hill near Gdansk. On these hills were huge gallows which had been constructed to execute the former guards of Stutthof. Over 200,000 people were there to witness the proceedings, and Jenny was then brought out in front of the crowd, and she was helped onto the back of a truck. The executioners were stood with her. They then sat her down on a stool whilst the adjustments to the noose were made. Then Jenny Barkmann was told to stand on the stool. Then the noose was fastened around her neck. Shortly after this, the truck drove off, and Jenny Wanda Barkmann was left on the gallows, and within minutes, the horrific war criminal, with thousands looking on, was declared dead. Jenny Wanda Barkmann was just 24 when she was executed on the gallows for her crimes at Stutthof Concentration Camp. She would have dreamed of a career modelling or being an actress. However, the lure of a brutal life wielding power and violence over people was too much for her to resist. Inside of Stutthof, she became known for her evil antics and actions, and she was also known for her cruelty, in which she ordered many executions and carried killing out with her bare hands. She was a woman who became notorious alongside other guards of the Holocaust, such as Irma Grazer, Johanna Bormann, and Elizabeth Volkenrath, for their terrible actions and sadism. But what drove her to enter a world dominated by the evil of the SS? Still today her motives are not entirely known. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.